Hey everybody, it's Troy. Hey listen, Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy is having a rough couple of days. Yesterday, an article was published in The Atlantic that has Ramaswamy quoted as saying some pretty heinous 9/11 conspiracy things. Ramaswamy was quoted asking how many federal agents were on the planes that hit the Twin Towers. Maybe the answer is zero. It's probably zero for all I know, right? I have no reason to think it was anything other than zero. But if we're doing a comprehensive assessment on what happened on 9/11, we have a 9/11 commission. Absolutely. That should be an answer the public knows the answer to. So Ramaswamy is seeming to suggest here that 9/11 was an inside job and there were, for some reason, federal agents on the planes that crashed into the World Trade Center and into the Pentagon, killing 3,000 people. Ostensibly, in that section of the interview with The Atlantic, he's trying to draw comparisons between January 6th and 9/11. He's trying to cast doubt on the findings of the January 6th committee by saying that the 9/11 commission lied about what happened on 9/11, that the official 9/11 commission report was a lie, that the government is lying about it, to try and cast doubt on the report from the January 6th committee, saying that the January 6th committee is also lying. Then he went on CNN, where he was interviewed by Kaitlin, and he had the opportunity to kind of walk all that back, clarify his comments. It's not what he meant. He's not a 9/11 truther. He's not an absolute nutcase running for president who just so happens to be in second place behind Donald Trump in the Republican primary field, according to recent polling. But instead, he decided to double down on his 9/11 truther language and suggest that the government has been lying about what actually happened on 9/11. And then he claimed that he was deliberately misquoted in The Atlantic, that the reporter for The Atlantic had lied about what he said. Ramaswamy claimed that he had asked for a recording of the conversation, of the interview, and the reporter had refused to send that to him, repeating again that he was deliberately misquoted in The Atlantic. Here's that section of the interview with Kaitlin.
Never said it was sufficient.
Vivek, speak of another comment that you've made that is getting attention today about 9/11. A report in The Atlantic that you gave an interview to, you said, quote, "I think it is legitimate to say how many federal agents were on the planes that hit the Twin Towers. Maybe the answer is zero. It probably is zero for all I know, right? I have no reason to think it was anything other than zero. But if we're doing a comprehensive assessment of what happened on 9/11, we have a 9/11 commission. Absolutely, there should be an answer the public knows the answer to." Explain to me what you meant there.
This is really, it's funny. I mean, The Atlantic is playing the same game as CNN. It's funny. What I said is on January 6th, I do believe that there were many federal agents in the field and we deserve to know who they are. On 9/11, what I've said is that the government lied. And this is incontrovertible evidence, Kaitlin. The government lied about Saudi Arabia's involvement. There was a Saudi spy named al-Bayoumi who they lied, and the government lied, and the 9/11 Commission lied. We know that because declassified reports in 2021 revealed that al-Bayoumi was indeed. What's that?
Yeah, the report that President Biden declassified. Yes. But your quote here, are you telling me that the quote is wrong
20 years later,
here?
yeah.
But are you telling me that your quote is wrong here because it says how many federal agents were on the planes that hit the Twin Towers?
Yeah, when I actually, and this is just lifting the curtain on how media works again, I asked that reporter to send the recording because it was on the record. He refused to do it. But we had a free-flowing conversation. The truth is there are lies the government has told about 9/11, but it's not the ones that somebody put in my mouth. It's the one that I articulated, which is that Saudi Arabia, absolutely, their intelligence was involved in 9/11.
The only problem with that is The Atlantic did release the recording of that interview to the internet, to the public. You can hear it for yourself. Ramaswamy was not misquoted in the Atlantic article. He was quoted word for word accurate. That is exactly what he said. And we know now because the Atlantic released the audio of the interview. We can listen to it. Here, take a listen to the audio released by the Atlantic. Ramaswamy was quoted word for word accurately in that story. Take a listen.
Absolutely. Why can the government not be transparent about something that we're using, terrorists, or the kind of tactics used by terrorists, if we find that there are hundreds of our own in the ranks of the day that they were, I mean, look.
Well, there's a difference between entrapment and a difference between a law enforcement agent identifying it.
I think it is legitimate to say how many police, how many federal agents were on the planes that hit the Twin Towers? Like, I think we want it. Maybe the answer is zero. Probably a zero, for all I know, right? I have no reason to think it was anything other than zero. But if we're doing a comprehensive assessment of what happened on 9/11, we have a 9/11 commission. Absolutely, that should be an answer the public knows the answer to. Well, if we're doing a January 6th commission, absolutely, those should be questions that we should get to the bottom of. Right? There can't be hush-hush, separate. It shouldn't be outside the commission, leaked to some media personality, the hours of footage.
Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy straight up lying on CNN about him saying crazy 9/11 conspiracy things in an interview. He could have just walked it back. He could have just clarified that's not what he meant. But instead, he chose to straight up lie to Kaitlin Collins, as if The Atlantic wasn't going to respond to him going on CNN and saying that he was deliberately misquoted by them, as if The Atlantic wasn't going to respond by releasing the audio of the interview if they had it, like they were just going to shrink away and let Vivek Ramaswamy say that he was deliberately misquoted by them. No, they have the recording. They released it. It's on the internet. You can listen for yourself. But that's the thing with these people, right? The audacity is out of control. They don't care. Vivek Ramaswamy tweeted that section of the, you can't even say tweeted anymore. He X posted or whatever. Twitter doesn't exist. Anyway, he posted on X that section of the interview with Kaitlin Collins and was bragging about it. It was spreading all over the garbage right on X, formerly Twitter. They were so proud of Vivek Ramaswamy for standing up to CNN when he was just blatantly lying. But the thing is, his supporters don't care. MAGA doesn't care. They're not going to do the fact checking. They're not going to listen to the Atlantic audio. But the point is that he was able to get a shot across the bow in his mind to CNN, which just gets all of MAGA super excited. Anytime one of these guys can claim a victory over CNN, it's like Christmas and Easter all wrapped into one for these guys. They just can't. They love it so much. But Vivek Ramaswamy, Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, caught lying on CNN, blatant lies. He was not misquoted. That is exactly what he said, questioning how many federal agents were in the planes on 9/11. Unfit to be president, disqualifying, ridiculous, horrifying comments. For MeidasTouch, this is Troy. Remember, smash that subscribe button to keep supporting independent media.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.